Hello and welcome to Multifamily Investing with Bob Biggins. I'm Bob Biggins, and today we're going to deal with a situation, a problem we've had with a burst pipe. We had a cold streak of about a month below 32 degrees, or a month and a half. 10th coldest winter in Michigan in 2026. So we've got actually a boiler system where the heat went out, and so in doing that, one of the branch lines copper cracked. I'll give you a quick bio here of how this occurred, or what we're doing right now. Come downstairs into the boiler room, and I was able to get here, shut the supply valve off. Laundry room, always label your pipes. They weren't labeled before. And then this is the return line, laundry room right here. So I shut both of those off. That would be hot water coming out and colder water coming back, getting heated again. But apparently something wasn't working, so I shut those off, let the system bleed down all the water out of the system, and now we have to deal with the ramifications. This was a few days ago, and I received all the parts, and now we're going to work to reassemble today. This is a laundry room, actually, and it is a heated laundry room where either someone turned the thermostat down too low. We're putting a cover on there today, a steel cover. Note to self, this is an 8-unit apartment complex in Michigan. And what our root cause was this right here. See that crack? This is an old water line. And this cold air through here, we're gonna insulate this as well. Way too cold. And that cracked, the water was just pouring out. What we're going to do, we're going to take all this apart because it's all rusty and old and not on real well, and we're going to redo the entire, what's called a slant fin process. This is what we're going to replace it with. 2 of these slant fins, they're soldered together, and then a return line. This is an 8-footer, but I couldn't get an 8-footer here soon enough, so I've got 2 4-footers I bought, and we'll solder them together in the middle. And this is letting air in on the bottom side down here quite a bit, way too much actually. We're going to put baseboard trim in there, seal that bottom up so the cold air can't come through, and then mount our new a little bit higher than that so it's well away from any potential cold air. Now that we have the cover off, and we are heating with an electric heater because right now we have no heat in here, and this is just an appendage off of our 8-unit brick building. It was built years ago before I bought the place, but it's insulated, but it gets cold in here with no heat. So we're now going to cut the old slant fins out. Now that's what these are. Slant fin. I've had a lot of these radiators before in a lot of different properties. And previously I never knew what they were. I just researched them and found out they're called slant fins. That's the manufacturer. And we buy them at usually Supply House, online, very reasonable prices there. And I don't think there's any other manufacturer, at least that I know of, because everything I've had in every property, dozen different registers have been slant fin from Supply House. So I'm going to pull this out now. I got all the clamps pulled loose underneath. Still a little bit of water in here. So I'm going to pull this out. The top is the supply. The hot air comes from the top, hot water rather, comes from the top, goes around. This sucks the heat out and radiates the heat relative to this metal cover or shield. Then goes on the bottom side of this and goes back and gets warmed up again. So I'm going to cut both. I'm going to cut them as close as possible and leave as much available space as we can. Again, this is the supply. This is the return. Always full of water. Always want to burp the air out. Down there's a bleeder that we're going to put a new bleeder in. Here actually is a bleeder right here. Right here, you bleed it with a screwdriver. You're going to bleed the air out because water can't get down here if air is blocking it. So we'll start out by cutting these off. We might find a little bit of water in here. That's why I have the towel present. and ready to go. Little cutter. You can buy these cutters at any big box store. Generally they can cut 1/2 inch or up to 3/4. This little small one's generally only cut 1/2 inch, but this one actually is good for 3/4 ID, which is 7/8 OD. So they call it a 7/8 pipe cutter. This is type M piping, which is not the thickest, but it would have been used for years and years. So we're going to replace it with slant fin on the top and new type M on the bottom. Every time you go around, every time or two, you just tighten this screw up, and there's a little wheel right here that just cuts that pipe. Little bit every time. Little bit every time. So this is called a hot water hydronic system boiler. The boiler we showed earlier is probably from the 1970s, so it is pretty old. Newer technology is certainly better. Whoa, there we go. Whoa. Okay, well this supply side definitely drained a lot of water out, but it's nothing compared to when the problem happened itself. This place had an inch of water underneath it. We cleaned that up. So now we're going to go to cutting the supply side, or the return side. Looks like I got to lift that up. Aha, this is in the way. There we go. There we go. Yo! There we go. We kind of knew that was going to happen. So now, got our old off, ready for our new. Copper pipes out. We have to take the slant fin cover off of probably a 50 years old. So it's just got screws in here. Two, one at the top, one at the bottom. This is the slant of the slant fin, and this one never moved, and it allows the heat to come up. But we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 screws to take out. So, simply enough. Like that, she should come right out. Just like so. And into the trash this goes.
When you're in this and you got everything opened up, you're really going to want to cover all your bases here. Any infiltrations through the wall, you can feel air coming through this hole here. So what you're going to want to do, get you some insulation and just start getting it in there. The more you get in there, the less likely it is you'll be doing this a second time. Because you never know, any of this air could cause these pipes to freeze, and then you're in the same situation we are.
Now that we got things insulated over here, no more cold air coming in, we cut a 10.5 foot piece of 1x4 that we brought. It was already painted, pre-painted ahead of time because there was no baseboard trim here before, only the register. So we put a nice piece of 1x4 baseboard trim down. We've so far dry fit our first 4 foot slant fin enclosure. And these are the brackets. They go up and in, and they lock in this top here, and you do a little bend and they'll lock in the bottom. So that, we got 2 screws in it, just temporarily holding it up level. And then this will go on top of here. We'll put our third one in the middle. We had some shipping damage, as you can tell, but I don't have the time to send it all back. So now you can see right where things are going to line up. I have to cut a little more off of this pipe here and put my street elbow in. wherever my street elbow went. So then we'll go with a street elbow right here to go inside. I'll have to cut this back a little bit, but that is going to be our tie-in. Cut this back and we'll, about that much, so we'll have to cut a little, about 2 or 3 inches off, and dry fit them, and we'll be soldering eventually.
So somewhere along the lines we lost the audio for this clip. It involves just putting the second slant fin on, or the cover rather, so it's just sitting right on top of the baseboard and parallel to the one on the right that's already put on. It just has to get leveled out, and we'll put some screws in it and then move on to the next part. And unfortunately the next video also lost its audio, so I'll just have to do a voiceover there too. But as you can see, you just put the screws in it where you know the studs are, just like they were when you took them off, and go from there. So now the cover is installed, the solders are done, and the supply line is set in, and it's set on top of those brackets that got snapped into the track before. But now for the return line, that needs to get held up. So there's these copper brackets that go on there, and you drill through the metal into the stud just like you did with the cover. And then you go all the way along and you put these brackets in, and the bottom part swivels and it snaps in over the top like that, and you tighten the top screw, and that holds your return line.
We got everything, I think, fit to the right size, a few things pre-soldered. We're going to put everything together. Anthony's fluxing things out. We're going to solder everything together shortly. Well, I don't claim to be a plumber or a solderer, but looks like we've got her all soldered in. No leaks. We got a bleeder out here. We bled it. Water came out, dripped out. We weren't able to get the last few pieces together, so we had to cut and put a union in there. That seemed to work out quite well. And these were existing lines here, all new here. And we'll put the covers back on, fire her up, call her good. But that's gonna be a different day. It's a late night. Final project completion the next day. Couldn't get it all done in one day. I'll give you a quick here, and there we are. Supply on the top, return on the bottom. New slant fin registers, covers. Now putting everything back together with the laundry room in Paw Paw, Michigan. Thanks very much. I appreciate your time. Multifamily Investing with Bob Biggins, signing out.